Hello and welcome to another episode of Shopping for the Real You. I'm Andrea Pflaumer, the author of the book Shopping for the Real You. And again, my guest is Brigitte Nioche. Brigitte is the author of this book, Living Longer, Living Well. It's a wonderful book. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects. They're all my favorite subjects, but this one is close to me since I've been doing this week. It's about how to clean out your wardrobe. And so, welcome, Brigitte.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you again. It's always a pleasure.
And so, before we start, let's start with one of the basics, which is when is it time to clean out your closet, and why does it need cleaning out? I mean, I kind of
Okay,
know why, but tell us why.
those are two questions. Let's take
Yeah.
the first one first. It is time to clean out your closet when you can't find a hanger anymore. You
That's
scrounging around and you're looking around, where can I find a hanger to hang the blouse up or whatever it is you
true.
want to hang up. That's a real sign that you have added and added and added to your wardrobe without taking something out. So when you start looking for hangers, it's kind of a sign and say, "Ah, I should look at what I don't need in there." Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a very good reason.
Now, how often, it doesn't happen to everybody, but how often, I would say at least twice a year, like when at the change of the season, basically, when a lot of people put their winter clothes away and, change over to the new season. I think that's a very good idea to do it then. Yeah. So
That's
twice
a,
a year is a good time to do it.
that's exactly what I did this last week. I now have, I dragged, we have small closets, so
Mhm.
I carry the winter clothes up to the guest room and the summer clothes down to my
Yeah,
my
yeah,
closet, and that gives you a real opportunity to see,
it does.
what
Yeah, yeah,
it, well, we'll go on. So
yeah.
um, we know how often it should be done. So, I had a big question. Is this, do you consider this a do-it-yourself project, or should you have a friend help you?
I think it's a do-it-yourself project. I mean, I have done, wardrobe consultations with women, and they agreed that that dress was, really not anymore for them, and she would kind of hang it on the. And then a girlfriend arrived, and the girlfriend would say, "Oh, what are you doing to this cute dress? It's so cute, yeah." And she would put it back. Yeah, the girlfriend doesn't see how, she doesn't know how you feel in something,
That's right.
you see. And also, the girlfriend looks at the dress and maybe not at you. So I think if you can do it, uh, it's good to do it by yourself. Now, if you have somebody you can really rely on, and you have the feeling is honest, yeah. I mean, sometimes I did it with my mother when she was alive, and she would say, "Oh, you look absolutely awful in that thing." Yeah, but you see, some people don't have that courage to say that,
That's right.
and I wasn't thinking that way. But she said, "Really, look at it." She said, "It doesn't do anything for you. You look awful in it." Yeah. So if you have somebody who can really you trust, but on the whole, I think you should do it by yourself, because
Yeah.
only you know how you feel in something. Because sometimes it's the feel, it's not the look. I mean, you might have bought this beautiful top, but the material doesn't feel right. It scratches. It's not. It doesn't fall right when you move. You see that the girlfriend doesn't know. Yeah, and that's where you are the last judge to actually decide if it should stay or go. Yeah.
That's a very good point, and that's a very good example because I, in going through my my spring and summer things, I found I have a very beautiful tunic top
Yeah.
that I wore, but it's the material. It's beautiful. It's a very light cotton voile,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look substantial on
It
me.
hangs. No?
It's kind of floaty,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not doesn't quite suit my personality. I need something with a little more oomph.
Right. Right.
And so, yeah, and somebody else will say, "Oh, but it's so beautiful," just like you said, right?
And
Okay.
while we are at
And
that, too, there's something funny that happens. We have some things we love for years, and we look good in them. And then comes the day and you put it on and you think, what is this all about? And like, and like you just mentioned, you see, when you bought these tunics, they were probably right. But over the time, they're not right anymore. Yeah. So that is also something we have to not. knock ourselves, why do I have to give this beautiful blouse away or this very nice top away? It's so nice. It's not you anymore, and
Right.
and that eliminates it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that if you keep it for too long, it's really hard to even recycle it because it's gone so far out of fashion.
Yeah, yeah. And they keep saying everything comes back. Yes and no, because when you see the dresses of the 50s now, they're bringing back the look a little bit. They don't look like the dress I wore in the 50s. They don't.
That's right.
So it doesn't. And then sometimes people say, how long I have this, for 15 years. And I have great trouble saying, yeah, it shows. The material isn't fresh anymore. It doesn't look fresh anymore. Yeah.
That's
So I
right.
think it's better to, get something new, even if it looks a little bit like what you had before, but there's something new about it. And today we have the pleasure of having all these new materials, these new fabrics. Yeah, I mean, a cotton dress from the 50s does not look like the same, even if it was the same style as a dress made from a fabric today. Yeah, so the
That's right.
fabric has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
Right. On a kind of cosmic level, I know that when you wear something for a long time, it picks up a certain vibe. You know, it's
Yeah.
got vibrations in it from your history and your
Right.
experience.
Right.
And so every time you wear it, it reminds you of that. And maybe it's time to let go of that
Yeah.
memory.
That is uh, that is especially true when you have lost your spouse, for example.
Mhm.
You see, you remember that yellow dress you wore on that vacation with him, and here we are with the yellow dress, and like you just said, all the memories come back, and all the good things that you have lost, and it kind of emphasizes it again. And
I
you don't
agree.
want that yellow dress to do this to you. You remember him, yeah, but you don't want it to be done in this way. That is,
That's the same reason why I don't like people keep pictures of their family from years and years ago, and I don't like pictures of myself from years and years ago because this is who I am now.
yeah, I'm laughing because what I think is so funny with the pictures from years ago, at that time, we felt so smart. I mean, we were really thinking we were it. We had this nice dress on. And now you look at it, like you say, what was I thinking? Because you're not that person anymore. Yeah, but you're right.
So, well, let's go a little bit deeper into this concept of how you should decide what to get rid of.
Yeah.
So we know that if it has a certain feeling or makes you feel a certain way, but is there anything else you might add about about when it's time to get rid of something?
Yes, because as we all know, we wear about maybe 8, 10 things in our wardrobe, and the rest just hangs. Yeah, that's one thing. So that means we don't remember how the rest looks. So the secret is, and it's absolutely necessary to try these things on. And I would like to mention here, you have to set aside a good afternoon to do this. You can't do this quickly in an hour. You have to have the time and really look at it. It takes time, and you have to try it on. I mean, like we said
Let's
before.
hang on for a okay. I was waiting for the sirens to go.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the background music of New York.
I know exactly.
Sorry about that. And you don't remember. You see. And then sometimes you're so surprised what you find. Oh, look at this! Totally forgot about this. Yeah, and then you have to try it on, and then it might still look good, and it might not. And the other thing is when you try something on, and this is important. Look at your face. Don't
Mhm.
just look at the dress. Look what this does for you. You see, some things you try on and they're really nice, but they don't do a thing for you. Yeah. The other indication is when you put it on, you should feel right away good in it, and not do this and adjust it and turn around from the back. That's the same thing when you go shopping. It doesn't make it better. It should be something you put on and you say, yeah, wow, this looks good on me. Yeah. So that is the other thing when you go through your wardrobe. When it doesn't look good on you anymore, uh, out. And when it looks tired, out. I mean, we all are not short of clothing. It's not like you have to keep it because you have nothing else. I mean,
Mhm.
most of us have a huge wardrobe, too much actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that is the thing. When you try it on, and don't just try on a top by itself. Put a pair of pants on and put the top with it. Yeah.
Oh,
Because again, a top alone and you have nothing on the bottom, how can you decide? Yeah.
right, you have to have an outfit, otherwise you got an orphan sitting in your closet.
Right. So that is also important. So trying on is absolutely necessary. Yeah. Sometimes it's too loose. Sometimes it has become too tight. And you always thought of this dress as being such a nice piece, and you finally put it on and you think, oh, the zip really doesn't close very well. And that should go. Yeah. I mean, this should go. And they do say if you haven't worn it in a year, it should go. That's a little uh, too much. I mean, you can't throw out everything that you haven't worn in a year. Because depends on the weather, it depends on your lifestyle, on a lot of things why you haven't worn something that you like. So you can't just get rid of it because you haven't worn it in that year. But when we come to 4 or 5 years, maybe, and then it happens like I did this recently, very nice coat from Burberry I had, and it just didn't suit me. It was that funny grayish brownish color. And again, when I bought it, it must have suited me because, I bought it. But now it was drab. It looked drab. And we should stay away from drab things. But it hung a little longer than it should. Even so, I'm talking about this because it was such a good coat. Yeah.
That's right.
And 2 months, I just said, out it go. And I was so happy when it was gone.
I was working with a client last month, and she was trying to pull together a professional look, and she pulled a black blazer out of her closet, and because she felt that it would make her look professional, and she put it on, and her face went like this, and I said, "You don't look happy." Your whole demeanor changed when you put that thing on. So it was a thing in her head that she thought this made her look professional because it was a black blazer. And maybe there is a black blazer that would work for her, but this one sure did not. And everything about her said it.
Yeah, and it's also sometimes not just the color. You just mentioned it. It might have been the style. You see, it could have been a little jacket, a short little jacket with a different color in black, and it would have looked all right. You see, it wasn't the color; it was the blazer.
That's right.
And so she eliminated it. She got a new one. What did she do with it?
I think she gave that one away. Yeah, I think she gave that one away. It was just too heavy for her, and she could wear black beautifully, but she
But
could see the difference.
And then the other thing is, once you decided that you want to get rid of this piece, there should be a bag standing next to you in the room where you immediately fold it up and put it in, that you don't see it again. Yeah.
Right.
3 hours later, it's like this lady there who, she had just thrown the dress over the chair. Had she put it in the bag right away, the girlfriend wouldn't even have seen it anymore.
That's right.
And it's for yourself too, that you don't want second thoughts. You already made this decision, which isn't always easy, to get rid of it. And then you have to make it again by seeing it again. Yeah. Right away in the bag. Yeah. Out. Right.
I have 4 bags in the guest room right now that I'm taking to the Goodwill this weekend. So.
These organizations, they do a good job actually in recycling this and making people happier with something inexpensive that they otherwise couldn't afford.
Right. And you want to make sure that when you're recycling something that it's in as decent enough shape that somebody will actually want it, because I have read that if you just throw junk into the Goodwill pile, it ends up going into a junk pile in the third world, and you don't want that. You want it to be useful.
Right. We have that where at the bottomless closets where I work, we take donations, and sometimes really I feel insulted when you undo the bags. They throw everything in there, and you feel like saying, well, we're not a garbage dump, this is supposed to be for people who need it,
That's right.
But you see, they think if they put every old thing in, some people, their deduction is bigger. Did you know H&M, you can bring your things and they give you a credit towards a new purchases?
You mean at the Goodwill?
No, at H&M, the H&M.
I didn't know that.
If they have it all over the country, but here in New York, you can actually take, and it doesn't have to be from H&M, it can be anything. They take it, and then they give you a credit to something you buy in their store one day.
Pay attention, ladies. This is a boon.
Yes, but when it goes to these third world countries, it's not all bad because they're so poor. Here is somebody on Staten Island, no, in Queens. They handle this and they sell it by the pound in huge bales to these third world countries. And those people are so poor. That and then they sell it piece by piece, of course, yeah, to the
Yeah,
public.
yeah.
Yeah. I was in Morocco once, and I liked the antiques very much, so we went to a flea market, and we were walking along, and there were all these clothes, and I looked at it, and there was Calvin Klein. All our designer names were lying on the floor there. So they really have their own life, which is here Goodwill or wherever, and then they go to another place, and they still do some good, to
Uh-huh.
people. Yeah. So
Great.
there it's like $1.50, because these people don't have more money. But no, it's not totally lost. It has its own life. Yeah, these secondhand things.
Well, that's good. Um, let's see. Let's talk about how do you let the question is, how can I let go of things?
All right. Yeah, that's a very good point. We all have something in the closet we will never get rid of. I mean, it's either the dress you wore to your son's wedding, uh, a dress that you wore when you were 19, and you should hang on to them. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong. Like I said, I have this dress from my son's wedding, and of course, I keep it. And every time I see it, I think, oh, there's my wedding dress, because I always think if I get married again, I'm going to wear that dress. You you have to, our people have a dress from when they were very young, when they went to a dance, and they have a special memory, a happy one. Hang on to it. It's one or two pieces, it's not like 20 things that you want to
Right,
hang on
right.
to. But that very special piece that you want to keep, or, you were young and it reminds you of your youth or something, keep it. Yeah. I mean, there was this program on television. I don't know, there was a woman and a man, and they went and cleaned out people's closets. And
Right, right.
I remember you might have seen it. And I found it always very, very hurtful the way they went into somebody's closet and just threw the things in the garbage. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
would all of a sudden say, oh, no, 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 I wore that there and there. I always loved that. That's whatever. And they said, never mind. And I don't think that's right.
Right. I agree entirely.
Because our clothes are part of us. Yeah. And when there is such a part we don't want to let go of, hang on to it. Put it in the back of the closet, and it reminds you of something nice when you see it. Yeah. So I think that would be the best thing. Yeah. And like nobody has 10 or 20 of those. Maybe you have three. Yeah. How many do you have really trouble? Did you have trouble getting rid of when you did your wardrobe? I said, how many did you have trouble getting rid of when you did your wardrobe last week?
I I didn't really have too much trouble. I was pretty ruthless, and I'll tell you what I did. Um, this time, I usually hang things by color. I didn't
Yeah,
do that this time. This time, I hung things. I looked at the things, and I created entire outfits.
that's a very good idea.
And I
Yeah.
hung the outfits together because I thought, if I just hang the pieces up there, it's more likely that I won't wear them next year and next year. I said,
And
I'm going to force myself to wear
yeah,
these things this year.
that's true.
And uh, and if they don't get worn,
Out they go.
out
Yeah, and
they go.
also the thing is when you put pieces together, like you said, I mean, now while you're doing it, you remember that goes with that. But in 2 days, you look in your wardrobe and you say, what am I going to wear? You see,
That's right.
you forgot. So I think and sometimes I've even suggested to some women I work with to make a kind of menu.
Yeah.
Hang it
Ah,
on your wardrobe, yeah, because I couldn't remember. They said, next week, I don't know what went with what. I said, well, let's write it down. And I always
right.
started with the bottom part, like the brown pants. And then you put under the brown pants on the side what went with them, yeah.
Hmm.
And you put that on your wardrobe, yeah. And they
Right.
said it worked wonderfully because it's true, you forget, yeah, which
Right.
what went with what, and then
Right.
you're scrambling around again trying to find it together, and also it shows you the brown pants. What, I have 5 tops with that? That's too much. You see, it's another way of kind of eliminating. Now, which of these 5? Oh, that one can go. Yeah, it
Right.
helps again to get rid of something. Yeah,
Right.
too. I mean, I know it sounds funny when you say you have to write it down, but it is very useful.
No, I think that's very practical because what happens is that if you don't do that, you end up wearing the same things. Most
Yeah,
people actually do wear the same things most of the time,
yeah, yeah,
but if you have the clothes, wear them, and if you
yeah,
don't have it written down and you don't remember what it is, and if you're in a hurry, like most of us are, you fall
yeah,
back on the same thing.
yeah,
So it just makes logical sense
yeah.
to hang them together. And that's one of the ways I was able to eliminate these things, is because if I found something that I couldn't put together in a whole outfit,
No,
I
wait,
said,
yeah. Out it goes. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
And some
when
of them are really nice. People are going to love what I'm recycling. So
exactly.
anybody out there, if you want to go to the Goodwill in El Cerrito, you're going to get some great bargains.
No, but it's also nice to know that somebody else can use it. I have a friend. She says, always, "Let somebody else enjoy it." Yeah,
Right.
it's a nice sentence, to think that somebody else has the opportunity to wear something nice because of you.
Yeah, that does make me feel good, and
It's
especially if they're really nice pieces. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then so we talked about it, but let's talk a little, go into a little more detail about what can you do with these things. I mean, obviously there's the Goodwill, and we talked about H&M, but describe a little bit about what you do, and maybe there are some other organizations in the U.S. that do
yeah.
something like what you do.
Sometimes, I know some people personally who work, who come from Ghana, for example, and they work for somebody, and their family is very poor over there. So certain things which would go fit there, I give to them. Yeah, and then other things go to the bottomless closet or somewhere else. So if you look around, there are always people who you can personally give something to. Yeah, and because I like to know that it doesn't go in a garbage can.
Yeah,
Yeah, that nobody
yeah,
throws it, just gets rid of it. Yeah, and because you say, the things are nice that you give away, so it would be nice to know who's getting them. Yeah, I mean, you have a church community, for example. They have sales like every so often during the year, and they are very good too because people who really need it go there. Yeah, the church people, and I think the churches they're very good in helping people, and clothing should be one of them. Yeah, I think I talked about it in my book. I went to a church once to volunteer to cook, and they had so many volunteers, and I thought, no, they don't really need me to cook here. And then a woman came to me who was coming for the food, and she said, "You don't have clothes, do you?" And I and
ah,
I said, wait a minute. So I asked one of the other men there working, I said, "Do we have clothes?" He said, "Well, look over there. Sometimes people drop something off." Horrible stuff. And but I
ah.
found a men's jacket. It was a cold winter day. And I said, "I'm sorry, it's all I have." And she said, "Look, it's better than nothing because I am so cold." And when she walked out, I thought, they don't need me to cut salad. They need me to get clothes. So from then on, I collected clothing for my friends. I went to thrift shops and bought things, even sweaters mainly. And I went for a year every Saturday and handed that out. And
Mm.
it was so nice to see them wear the sweaters or say, "I didn't have a nice sweater like this for years." So you can, do something. If you don't want to do it yourself, I'm sure that in the church where you are, there is
Right.
something you could get a little group together. I'll just do it once a month. You don't have to, or every 3 months. It doesn't have to be, every week. And that's a nice thing because you really see them and you really see your sweater come back to life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
that's another way.
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Um, I made
Yeah.
some notes. I was
Yeah.
one of the things that people describe, and you and I both agree that they say if you don't wear it for a year, throw it away. I don't think that's a good idea, but they do describe that thing of the hanger trick where you turn the hanger around, and then if at the end of the year it's still around, that means you haven't worn it, and that's a clue to give it away. So I
That's
would say,
complicated.
extend that for a couple of years, but that's another possible way.
It is.
Um, and then I also recommend wearing the things, well, we talked about this. I said, wear only your favorite things. That means that if you're keeping something, you really like it for all the
Yeah,
reasons that we just mentioned. And
that
if
is
you're not sure, then you alluded to this at the beginning, pack it away and then revisit it in a couple of months. And if you haven't missed it,
right,
then get
right.
rid of it. I love the fact that when I made the decision, like you described, I folded them up, put them in the bag, and then I couldn't see them. And when you
Yeah.
don't see them, you don't
You
have
forget.
self doubt.
Yeah, I mean, my son always says, if you haven't missed something in 6 months, you don't need it, and he applies this to everything,
Yeah.
furniture, whatever it is. He always says, files or books. He said, you haven't missed them in 6 months. Missed is a word. Yeah. He said, then it means you don't need them, and I think it's just closing the same thing. Yeah. And what I think is the most surprising thing about going through your wardrobe, that you forget what you have.
Yeah, that's true.
Got so many things that, oh, look at this, you didn't even know you had it. Yeah. So that means it really can go, and there's a reason why you didn't wear it. You didn't really love it. That's the other thing. Now, the lifestyle does come into it. Yeah. I mean, when people stop working, for example, there is a big change.
Right.
They don't need their work clothes anymore. Yeah. And I think they should then give them away. Yeah. And go for more fun things. And because that does change. And then some people, sometimes I see a beautiful evening string, not even long, just a nice evening dress. I don't. I don't have any reason to wear it anywhere. You see, then you don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? And again, there's one I keep just in case. But if the in case does not happen, you have to also get rid of it. Because if the case comes after 5 years, you really don't want to get that old thing out. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
You want something more fashionable and nicer and, the more today than this thing that you have seen there for 5 years. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Because it's a lot of psychology connected with our clothing, really. Yeah. And what makes us feel good lifts us up.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
really the thing. Yeah.
So I think
You,
everybody, this should give everybody a really clear idea of how to deal with all this.
just looking at
And
my notes that I didn't forget anything. Yeah, and the most important thing is, I mean, I see this when I work with the women. Because I think most women know when something looks good on them, but we get sidetracked by all the fashion we see. I mean, all of a sudden something becomes fashionable, which is not our look. Then we
hmm,
feel bad because we don't buy it. You
hmm,
see,
hmm,
and you don't have to wear it just because it's fashion. Yeah, I mean, and I see that when I address these women, I mean, they know because they always say, "What do you think?" And I say, "What do you think?" Yeah, I think it looks nice. I said, there you are, you see. So I think we know much better what looks good on us, but we don't trust our own judgment.
right.
Yeah. Because have so many things influencing us around us that we don't think we know. And in the end, you know. Yeah. So you
Right.
have to trust your own instincts a little bit that if you really didn't like this jacket for a long time, don't let your mother say, but it's such a nice jacket. I don't know why you want to give it away. You are the judge of what you want to wear and how you want to look.
Right.
Not
That's
that
so true. I always tell people train your eye and then trust your gut because your gut is kind of your
that is
emotional mirror. Yeah.
absolute. And like I said, when I work with these guys, they sometimes say you look nice, and I said, how do you feel? She said, I don't feel well. I said,
Mm.
take it off. Take it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
That's the answer. You see, the
Mm.
feeling that you have to connect with the piece.
Hmm.
And for example, if we look at big patterns, I'm totally. I mean, they're nice when they're on the bottom.
Right.
When they're on the top, if the whole thing is a big pattern, that dress is wearing the person and not the
Yeah,
person.
that's right.
You know,
Especially for little people like me. I got to
yeah,
be real careful with the
yeah.
patterns.
You see, like you have done now with the scarf, that's very beautiful because the pattern is on the scarf. Yeah,
Scale.
but if it was all over you, I would only see the birds.
That's right. That's right.
Not you. you know? So always look at your face and see what something does for you. So
Yeah.
that's very, very important. And also when you clean out that wardrobe regularly, you that affects your budget. What we talked about last time.
Right.
You see, then you will think, I really don't need so much because you see all. And then it's seeing 3 bags, like you said, or 4 bags to give away. You feel a little sorry that you have to, and you spent the money on it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe if you had only 1 bag to give away, you could have bought different things of better quality or something. It does affect the budget as well. Yeah. So less, less, less. I'm definitely for less.
Right. I always say fewer. What's the? I think it's the Kuyana is the company. They say fewer things, better things, and I
That's right.
think that's a great mantra for
Yeah,
shopping.
but I think we have a drawback here. You see, here in the States, shopping is a pastime.
That's right.
And it's not just, it's that. And also, everywhere you go, you can buy something. I mean, I mean, I don't know where you live, but here, you never go anywhere where there isn't something to buy. So you get very tempted. And it's not always easy to say, I won't buy it, because we are so surrounded by temptation, I call it. Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect segue into our next discussion, which is how do you prepare for a shopping trip? So
Right.
I'm going to use that as our as our great introduction to our next topic. Um, this has been wonderful, informative, enlightening. Do you have one more last comment you want to make before we close?
Uh, yes, you own the clothes don't own you. And
That's a good point.
that gives you the right
That's great.
to give them away, to not wear them, to do anything you want with them, because they don't own you, you own them.
Excellent. Brigitte Nioche, thank you again. And I want to remind everybody Brigitte's book, Living Longer, Living Well. It's got all kinds of information, not just about fashion, but about life. Very valuable information. And I want to remind my readers that Shopping for the Real You is now on sale at Amazon for 40%
Oh,
off.
that's great.
And there's only a little more than a dozen copies left, so check it out. Anyway,
I
thank you so much, Brigitte.
okay.
And
I
join us
think
next time. We're going to talk about a very important subject, which is how to prepare for going shopping.
and how to stick to the preparation that you make.
That's going to be the main point.
That's going to be the big challenge.
Thank you again, Brigitte.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye
very
bye.
much.